World Series or nothing. That's according to Mookie Betts for the Dodgers this year. Jarred Vanderbilt's absence is leading to changes in the way the Lakers play defense, and we think we know who the Chargers' offensive coordinator is. Maybe. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So it is February 5th, 2024. I am recording this in St. Loser, Missouri, but by the time you see it, I'm probably going to be on my way back home to the wife. Very much looking forward to some actual Southern California heat. Please be sunny. That's all I ask, guys. Please be sunny. By the way, do you like being in the know about LA sports? Well, if you do, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. You guys know this. I love hearing from you and try to get back with each and every one of you. Before we go through the news and notes, a quick look at the scoreboard. Kawhi Leonard scores 24 points, grabbed 11 rebounds. And by the way, Ivica Zubac returned after missing 9 games with a strained right calf. And the Clippers wind up knocking out Miami 103-95. Meanwhile, today, the Lakers are at Charlotte at 4. If the Lakers win tonight, it'll mean that the Lakers will have their first winning road trip of the season. And by the way, the Clippers are also playing tonight. They're in Atlanta at 4:30. But what do you say we talk some Dodger baseball? Because we have a lot to get to with that team. It's been a while, wouldn't you say? Mookie Betts went where Dave Roberts went a couple of years ago, where the Slum Diego Padres went last year, by saying that the Dodgers need to get to the World Series or it's nothing. And yet the moment after he said it, it was almost as if the hamster wheel inside Mookie Betts' head started running and his brain started working. He's like, oh, wait a minute. You really don't want to start making guarantees, do you? Now, it wasn't a guarantee, but you could already hear him walk it back. Quote, we can't add extra pressure to it. You know it's going to be tough. Every game is going to be the other team's World Series. We signed up for it. We have to embrace it, unquote. Now, Walker Buehler, and we have more notes on Walker Buehler in a moment. Walker Buehler went so far as to suggest that the Dodgers are viewed as the villains of baseball. Who knew a random fan fest with a few players could be so bloody newsworthy, could generate this much material? But I want to take a moment and address 2 points from that before we go into more Dodger news. Roberts and the Padres had to eat their words about where the team was going to go when they started talking about getting rings and this, that, and the other. And there's a reason for that. It's simply that there are too many variables in a 162-game season. And oh, by the way, the Dodgers, despite a $1 billion offseason, aren't flawless. They're not. The starting pitching is suspect. Gavin Lux hasn't played in a year. And by the way, do you trust who closes? Do you believe in the late innings of that bullpen? I don't think that those are sure things. I really don't. Now, there is an argument also to be made that despite all the things the Dodgers did in the offseason, that the Atlanta Braves are a better team. I'm not saying I know that they are, but there's definitely an argument that can be made. The other thing that I wanted to address is being the villains of baseball. The Dodgers are villains in the sense that once you represent Los Angeles, you are a villain. That is how vast swaths of the country view Los Angeles and their teams. And it doesn't matter if you're wearing a Dodger jersey or a Lakers jersey, even in MLS. There are a bunch of cities around this country that love hearing that the Galaxy lost. The reason that people chant "beat LA" at a variety of cities in this country is simply because of Los Angeles hatred. Because we are, in fact, the greatest sports city in the world. People just don't want to admit it, but we have that pedigree. So, by the way, this argument isn't some sort of shallow, ghetto, my haters make me famous line. People outside of LA hate Los Angeles. And that's, by the way, why so many decent players fail here, because they crack under the pressure. You have to rise above the hatred that other towns have for Los Angeles and still produce at a high level. The sooner that these players recognize that, the better. It's the burden that you bear when you wear a uniform that says Los Angeles on it. You may as well embrace it. Now, we talked about Walker Buehler. We mentioned him a moment ago. As previously predicted, Buehler will not be ready for the Dodgers at the start of the season. The Dodgers are going to keep him under wraps for at least a month, and there is a reason for it. Buehler is going to be on an innings limit and a starts limit. So they would rather have him making those starts toward the end of the season as opposed to being part of the rotation right off the bat and then gassing out on his starts and his innings sometime around August. So in other words, you will not be seeing Walker Buehler pitching until May. The Orange County Register are reporting that the Dodgers are still talking with Clayton Kershaw. If you recall, though, this free agent, who of course has won 3 Cy Youngs with the Dodgers, and an MVP award. He is out until mid-season, no matter what, because he had shoulder surgery in the offseason. So that's actually not such a bad thing either, right? Dodgers pitchers get mowed down faster than your average snuff film. So it is very easy to imagine Clayton Kershaw signing a contract, getting himself ready, and then checking in sometime around July to boost the team for a postseason run. Imagine for a moment, we've been kicking around Dodger rotations for a while. Imagine Walker Buehler at full strength in the playoffs to go along with the other additions to the rotation. Imagine a Clayton Kershaw that hasn't been beaten down through the course of the regular season. I don't have a problem with that thought process. I really don't. One other note about Dodger pitching, Tony Gonsolin said he started, quote, throwing-ish progression, unquote, after he had Tommy John surgery last year. By all means, take as much time as you want with your throwing-ish, because you're not, Tony Gonsolin is not expected to perform this year anyway. He's not going to be back until 2025. Whatever the hell throwing-ish means, go right ahead, pal. Go right ahead. Lakers sources have told The Athletic, with names not involved, of course, that despite initial reports that suggest Jarred Vanderbilt will have his foot evaluated in a month, they expect that he's already done for the year. Now, this matters, because we've been talking about Jarred Vanderbilt even prior to the injury, about how even though the offense clearly doesn't flow through him, he basically does all the little things that other players on the Lakers don't do. There are other ways that you can contribute, as the cliche goes, that don't show up on the stats sheet. Vanderbilt is that guy. So, against the New York Knicks, the Lakers had to find another way to generate an effective defense without Jarred Vanderbilt on the court. And here's what they did. LA utilized a lot more traps on the defense. In other words, the two guards closing in on the point guard or whoever had possession of the ball on the other team, trap them away from the basket. And then in addition to that, they would have LeBron James and Anthony Davis basically playing sort of a low zone for rim protection. Considering that they're playing the Charlotte Hornets tonight, look for the Lakers to continue to build on that and see if they can get some more consistency on defense with that. Trapping with the guards, LeBron James and Anthony Davis playing a two-man zone underneath. Jim Harbaugh is expected to hire Greg Roman for a prominent spot on the staff. This is according to NFL media. Now, CBS later on that day had a headline that Roman is going to be the offensive coordinator. Here's the problem. You clicked on that link that said that the Chargers were going to hire Roman as the offensive coordinator, and the story didn't validate it. The story said prominent role on the team. So the headline and the story doesn't match. Now, Roman does have experience as an offensive coordinator. And by the way, has experience working not only with John Harbaugh, who coaches the Ravens, but Jim Harbaugh, obviously the new Chargers coach. Roman was the last offensive coordinator in Baltimore in 2022, but he also previously worked with Jim Harbaugh at both Stanford and with the San Francisco 49ers. So one way or another, Roman is going to have a big say in the offense. We just don't know with certitude that he's going to be the coordinator. Raheem Morris has stole some more silverware, so to speak. He is continuing to pull pieces out of the Rams' coaching cupboard. He has hired analyst Tim Burbenich to run the passing game. Morris has taken 5 coaches away from the Rams. And I'm sitting there thinking, for Pete's sake, man, the Rams organization were your biggest fans to get you another head coaching gig, and this is the thanks you gave them. You took 5 people off the coaching staff. Craziness. You didn't have any contacts anywhere else in the NFL? Cliff Kingsbury will be leaving USC, according to the press. He is going to leave the offensive analyst position with the Trojans. He'll be joining the Washington Commanders as offensive coordinator. This comes a day or two after negotiations between Kingsbury and the Raiders broke down for the same position. I think this might be something that works out better for the Raiders. I have yet to see evidence that is convincing me that the air raid offense that Kingsbury champions, that the air raid offense works in the NFL. And by the way, particularly would it work in cold weather cities back east? We'll have to see. And by the way, an additional note, there's a very big difference when you're trying to analyze an offense with Caleb Williams as opposed to running an offense with Sam Howell. So, I don't know. I can't tell you that Kingsbury took the right job. Mark Stein, former ESPN guy who writes an NBA blog, is claiming that the Clippers are interested in Charlotte forward PJ Washington. So, here's the thing. Washington is only 6'7", but his wingspan is 7'3". Why does that matter? Because according to Stein, the Clippers have an idea. They want to get forwards who can serve as a center in a small lineup. In other words, when the Clippers play small ball, they think somebody like PJ Washington, because he's 6'7", he's not going to be a traditional center, but his wingspan enables him to do things, and also because he's smaller, theoretically quicker, blah, 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 blah. So if there is a thought process for the Clippers, look to a small ball forward. I got to get one thing out of my system. I don't talk a lot of politics on this channel for a reason. And that reason is I'm too damn old to tell you who to vote for. You know, when you're young and you think you know everything in the world, right? And that's when you start arguing about things like you think you're solving the world's problems. I am not that guy anymore. I just want a decent economy, my friends to be safe and happy, and we all just go on with our lives. But one of the problems that comes with living in LA is the political power that the city wields. You could be the biggest cheerleader for the Democrat Party, right? But every single time that former President Barack Obama would show up and visit for a fundraiser and the Secret Service would lock down traffic, it would literally trigger an existential crisis across town. I'm not saying we should all go MAGA, but holy crap, it was a pain in the ass to get across LA. You could literally see tears welling up in the hardest blue people when they had to sit there and try to resist the urge about Obama causing all this traffic. And the reason I'm bringing this up, fast forward to Saturday, the Oregon UCLA game was delayed because President Biden wanted to go to a fundraiser at George Lucas's house, and the Ducks T bus got caught up, and therefore the game was delayed by about a half an hour. George Lucas held a fundraiser. Gee, that's common, man, aren't we? My wife is a lifelong Star Wars fan. But I tell you something, if she got caught up in traffic caused by George Lucas and President Biden, she would take that $250 lightsaber, custom built at downtown Disney, by the way, and just carve out George Lucas's intestines with it if she had to sit through traffic like that. So if you were wondering what happened with UCLA basketball on Saturday, blame the guy at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. You can still vote for him, just blame him for that. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me, for example, about should the Dodgers be popping their collar over this upcoming year? Talk to me about whether or not these coaching changes that are going on in the NFL, if these coaches are making the right calls. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.